Once you learn how to die, you learn how to live. These words have haunted me longer than most people have been alive. I'm 93, and death is no longer a distant stranger, but a companion who sits quietly in the corner of my room, watching, waiting. My hands are maps of a life lived cautiously, each wrinkle a road not taken, each liver spot a moment of silent regret. The trembling isn't just physical weakness, it's the accumulated weight of unexpressed emotions, of dreams folded and tucked away like old letters in forgotten drawers. I was never a man who spoke openly. Silence was my armor, calculation my shield. Growing up in a time when men were expected to be stone, unbreakable, unexpressive, I perfected the art of emotional concealment. Work was my sanctuary, routine my religion. I built walls so high around my heart that even I couldn't climb over them. My wife, Margaret, God, how she tried to reach me. Her soft hands, her patient eyes, always seeking entrance to the fortress I had constructed. There was a moment in 1962, crisp October morning, leaves falling like quiet promises, when I could have chosen everything. A transfer to San Francisco, a chance to lead a revolutionary project, to truly express my creative vision. But fear whispered louder than opportunity. Fear of failure, fear of being seen, fear of living. My children grew up knowing me as a provider, not a person. They saw the suit, the briefcase, the careful smile, never the storm of emotions brewing beneath. I worked for a corporation that consumed my years like a hungry beast, promising security in exchange for my soul. And I willingly fed myself, slice by slice, to that machine. Margaret knew. She always knew. Her silences were louder than any words. When she was dying, her hand in mine, she looked at me with a depth that burned through all my carefully constructed walls. "You're still here," she said, "but you're not living." Those were her last words to me, a benediction, a judgment. Now at 93, I understand. Living isn't about surviving. It's about breaking the silence, breaking the walls, breaking free from the prison of expectations we build around ourselves. My body is weak, but something inside me, something I kept hidden for decades, is finally awakening. I want to tell young people, your life is not a ledger of safe decisions. It's a canvas waiting for bold strokes, for colors you've been too afraid to mix. Don't become a museum of unlived moments like I did. If my words resonate with you, stay close. Listen. Because time is not a renewable resource, and the most expensive thing you can waste is your own potential. War changes a man, not just the battles, but the silence after. I went to Vietnam in 1968, a boy who thought he understood courage, who believed in clean narratives of heroism. What I found was something far more complex, a landscape of human vulnerability where survival meant unlearning everything you thought you knew about yourself. I wasn't a hero. Heroes are invented by people who weren't there. In the dense, suffocating forests of Vietnam, heroism looked like simple survival. Survival meant making peace with your own mortality every single moment. We carried not just rifles, but the weight of our fears, our unexpressed emotions, our fragile humanity. There was a young soldier in my unit, Rodriguez, barely 20. He talked about his mother's tamales, about a girl waiting for him back in Texas. I watched him die one humid morning, his blood mixing with the red earth. And in that moment, I understood something fundamental about life. We are all just passing through. Temporary, fragile. I returned home with a body intact, but a spirit shattered. The war wasn't something you could leave behind. It lived inside you, a constant companion, whispering about the thin line between life and death. My wife, Margaret, never truly understood. How could she? How could anyone who hasn't felt death breathing down their neck understand the profound transformation that occurs when you realize how close you constantly are to disappearing? Trauma isn't just about the events. It's about the silence afterward, the unspoken moments, the memories that curl inside you like smoke, changing the landscape of your interior world. I learned to wear a mask of normalcy, a good provider, a responsible father, a dutiful husband. But underneath, a storm was always brewing. Work became my escape. I climbed corporate ladders with a mechanical precision, believing that achievement could somehow compensate for the emotional terrain I had abandoned in those Vietnamese forests. Each promotion was a shield, each successful project a way of proving to myself that I was more than the broken young man who had returned from war. But success is a hollow god. It demands constant sacrifice, and what it demands most is your authentic self. I sacrificed intimacy for security, depth for surface, a connection for protection. My children grew up knowing a version of me that was more like a reliable machine than a human being. Memories are strange things. They don't fade, they transform. They become more vivid, more painful, more beautiful with time. Now, in the twilight of my life, I see everything with a clarity that was impossible. Since I avoided the conversations I didn't have, the love I was too afraid to express. If there's a wisdom in aging, it's this: vulnerability is not weakness. It's the most profound form of strength. The courage to be seen, to be truly known, that's the real battle. Not the wars we fight with weapons, but the wars we fight within ourselves. Love is not what they tell you in movies. Love is not grand gestures or perfect moments. Love is a daily choice of witnessing another's soul. It's of staying when everything inside you wants to run. Margaret, my Margaret. She understood this long before I did. We married in 1952, two strangers promising a lifetime together. Young people today think love is passion, excitement. But real love is sitting beside someone through chemotherapy. Real love is holding hands when words have become impossible. Real love is seeing the person behind the pain, behind the illness, behind the slowly failing body. Margaret never complained, not when I was emotionally distant, not when work consumed me, not when her own body began to betray her. She had a strength that humbled me, a quiet, persistent grace that revealed itself in small moments, making breakfast even when her hands shook, writing letters to our grandchildren when her vision was failing, choosing joy when pain was her constant companion. I failed her so many times, not with infidelity or cruelty, but with something far more insidious: emotional absence. I thought providing meant loving. I thought paying bills meant connection. But love is not transactional. Love is presence. Love is vulnerability. There was a moment, just weeks before she died, when everything changed. Her hands, thin as paper, touched my face. "You've been carrying so much," she whispered. "It's time to let go." And in that instant, decades of emotional armor began to crack. Grief is not what people imagine. It's not just sadness. Grief is a complete reorganization of your interior landscape. When Margaret died, something inside me shattered and reconstructed itself. I began to see the world differently, more fragile, more beautiful, infinitely more precious. Our children, Michael and Sarah, they never knew the man I became after her death. A man who finally understood that life is not about protection, but about connection. A man who learned that vulnerability is not weakness, but the most profound form of human courage. I started writing letters, not emails, real handwritten letters, to old friends, to colleagues I had never truly known, to my children, revealing parts of myself I had hidden for decades. Each letter was an act of radical honesty, a small rebellion against the emotional numbness that had defined my earlier years. Cancer came for me eventually, as it comes for many. But this time, I wasn't afraid. Margaret had taught me that dying is just another form of living, just more intensely. Each breath became a prayer of gratitude. Each moment a celebration of the extraordinary miracle of existence. If you're listening and something in my words touches you, stay close. Life is not about being perfect. Life is about being present, about breaking the silences that separate us, about choosing connection over protection. The final breath of wisdom comes not from achievements, but from the silent spaces between heartbeats. 70 years I walked this earth, carrying stories like heavy stones, each memory a weight that both crushes and liberates. In the twilight of existence, everything becomes clear. The illusions we build, success, status, the endless pursuit of external validation, they crumble like dry leaves. What remains is the raw, unvarnished truth of human experience, connection, vulnerability, the courage to be broken and whole simultaneously. My hands, now thin as ancient paper, have touched countless lives, not through grand gestures, but through quiet moments of genuine presence. I learned too late that life is not a battle to be won, but a symphony to be experienced. Each relationship a delicate instrument, each emotion a note that resonates beyond our brief mortal existence. The world moves faster now, technology racing, humanity chasing shadows of meaning. But meaning isn't found in speed. It's discovered in stillness, in the space between breaths, in the unspoken understanding that passes between two souls who have truly seen each other. I carry the wounds of generations, the silent suffering of men who were taught that emotions were weakness, the unexpressed love, the unspoken fears, the dreams folded and tucked away like old photographs. My generation built walls instead of bridges, protection instead of connection. Death walks close now, not as an enemy, but as a companion, a gentle reminder that our time is a precious, fleeting gift, each moment a miracle, each breath an opportunity to shed the armor we've constructed, to reveal the tender, resilient heart beneath. To those who will listen, life is not about perfection. It's about presence, about breaking the silences that keep us isolated, about choosing vulnerability over protection, about understanding that our individual stories are threads in a much larger, more beautiful tapestry of human experience. I have loved, I have lost, I have survived. And in the end, survival is not enough. we must truly live. If this channel has touched something deep within you, stay, listen, because the truths I share are not just my own. They are the whispers of generations, the unspoken wisdom that connects us all. The clock is ticking. Our time is now.